Hemlo, 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 hemlo. So, Vox's cane is next. You may be wondering, but Tori, why is it already painted? Well, I already tried to make this at one point in time before, and I had it made already one point in time before, and then it broke. It got knocked over and shattered. It was not fun. So, I'm going to remake it, this time with a slightly less preposterous thing. This is literally just a curtain rod, by the way, that I painted because it was free, and it's almost exactly the correct height for me. I already have the aluminum foil on. We are going to sculpt a heart onto the top of this with this ridiculous giant bucket of model magic, because for some freaking reason the craft store did not have any foam clay, which is obnoxious. So the next best thing is, well, model magic. Here we are. I am going to swap to the speed up and the other camera now. Alright, hello. So here's the thing. I'm going to get this out of the way immediately so that you understand about where I am mentally. I am stuck in that pre-con crunch / post. I just had to get a whole bunch of shit done very quickly for my job crash. It's not been going well for my brain mentally today, because half of my brain is like, we are dead creatively and we wish to do nothing, and the other half of my brain is like, but we have to do something because we still have all of these things that need to get done on time. So that is where I am stuck. I am halfway through. This is like, I've had 1.5 glasses of iced coffee today because I ran out of iced coffee on the second for the other half. I've already downed 1 energy drink. Nothing is waking up my brain. But I have to get at least 1 or 2 things that are productive done. So I have 2 things that I want to get done today. This one being the thing that I might be able to actually finish today. The other thing being one that I probably won't be able to finish today. Actually, I definitely won't be able to finish today, because the other one is doing the thing where it needs to dry overnight before I can do anything else with it. This one is about a 50-50 shot, because I don't know how long it's going to take for the spray adhesive, followed by the clear coat on top of that to dry. So we about to find out. This is a shorter, stubbier thing than I would have liked it to be. However, it was the only one that I could find that was a revolver that wasn't a ridiculous price. And it also already comes in gold, which is handy because it means I don't have to try to do that myself. So, here's the thing. I don't know if I necessarily need to keep the orange tip when it's going to be a prop. I will have to look into that, given that I'm going to be painting it and it's going to be very clearly fake based on the paint that I'm putting on it, especially since I'm debating on if I want to extend this a little bit. This did technically come with fake capsule things and little foam things that go in it so you could shoot, but this is going to be Valentino's gun, which means that it needs to have a heart opening. And so I'm debating on if I want to extend this out or not. The problem is if I do, I have to do that before I can do literally anything else. And I kind of don't have that much time to wait for air dry clay to dry, number one. But also number two, if I did that, I would then end up having to repaint the whole thing gold, because anyone who has ever worked with metallic paint knows that no two metallic paints are exactly the same, even sometimes if you're literally buying them from the same company and it's the same brand and everything else. Which means that my option is either I leave it short and stubby and I just kind of give it the illusion of having a heart-shaped barrel with a little bit of clay that just gets inserted into the barrel portion itself, or I have to repaint everything gold that is going to become gold, and I don't necessarily think I want to do that. Gonna be honest, I don't really think I want to repaint everything gold. Especially when literally the point of me buying this one specifically was because it was already gold. So, I do not have any pink paint, number one. But number two, I think I will get a smoother finish anyways if I do this with powder. Which means that what I am going to be doing is covering literally every part of this that I do not want to become pink with tip. And the reason for this is because I'm going to then use spray adhesive, let it dry almost completely. I'm essentially going to do with this the same thing that I did with Scully's eyes, except for the fact that I'm going to be doing it with spray adhesive, which means I'm going to have to wait significantly less time, and a mica powder, because I had to buy some mica powder for the love potion that I made for Val, that I will probably be posting videos of in the near future if I haven't already posted them. So that will be fun. Here we go. I paused to go grab it because I thought I may as well show at least a little bit of it. This camera is not the greatest, and this camera is worse. That's why I said I'm going to probably do some shorts with it on my phone. But I did not have wax, but I did have this ridiculously good gold paint that I had initially bought because I ended up getting the silver studs, and I was like, well, I can just paint the silver studs gold for Val's vest, and then I realized I was going to need more than I had for doing both the vest and the net, which means that I needed to get more studs anyways, so I just ended up buying gold studs, which means that I did not need the gold paint. However, the gold paint is neat, and it ended up making the other side of this butterfly look neater too, because this butterfly was originally like blue and it goes into a pink, but having the gold on the other side makes the translucency go from like a teal to a rose gold, which I like. Glue did settle weird around it though. I'm gonna just yoink that off because that's gonna bother me if I don't. I do not have access to a printer, so I had to just make the thing by hand. Because and I obviously just don't have that much time. So I kind of just made a quick thing. You can't really see them very well in this, but there are heart glitters of like 5 or 6 different kinds, and also there are butterfly glitters, because that made sense to me. And this is one of those ones where if you do the shaky, 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 it goes from like a transparent pink to like a bright hot pink, and all of the glitter swirl around. That's why I said I'm probably going to do a little short with it at some point, because I think that will do it more justice. Especially given that this is like my first actual potion that I've made. But like, oh, you can see at least the heart glitters. The moth glitters are harder to see because they are pink, which was kind of the intention. I kind of wanted the moths to be harder to see than the hearts. Yeah, the only other potion that I've made was because I found a giant skull jar for like $5 at the dollar store. And you can't not buy a giant skull jar when you find one for $5. And it's like a deep dark purple. Or it was like a lighter purple, so I just filled it with dark purple liquid and like a whole bunch of different older eyeshadows that were going to get thrown out anyways, since I didn't have any mica powder, and I figure eyeshadows are kind of just mica powder. Which means when it's settled, it kind of looks like there's a desert on the bottom, and then you shake it, and then you get a little bit of a swirly thing. But since the jar was already dark, and since I may have made the liquid inside a little bit too dark, it's a little bit harder to see. I'm not mad at it though. Kind of look it does just look neat sitting there. I'm gonna be honest, because it was supposed to kind of be like a death potion, which means all of the powder settled at the bottom kind of just resembles ashes in my brain. Like, and these are the ashes of those who have fallen into this potion already. Anyway, I am going to go ahead, start working on this, yeet my face cam so that you can see it better. I'm going to attempt to preserve the mechanics, but I'm not going to guarantee anything, because obviously being able to use this gun was never the intention. I didn't buy this gun because I wanted a toy gun. I bought this gun because I wanted to make it into Val's gun. That was literally the only reason I bought it. I'm not gonna lie to you. So anyways, I'm gonna get to taping. You guys are not going to get to see the spray adhesive and powder process, but I figure I technically already did it for, well, kind of already did it for Seth, so you don't really need to see it. I feel like you all know how spray adhesive works. And if you don't, it works exactly like how it sounds like it works on it. It's just glue that you spray on instead of paint on. I don't... That's why I have to tape everything that I don't want to become pink. So, I will take pictures of this after it's been pinked, after it's had its layers of clear coat on over top of the pink, because the big thing is that I'm going to have to make sure I have enough clear coat covers on this after I've put the pink on, so that it's not going to have powder falling off on my hands everywhere when I'm holding it. That's going to be the hard bit. The good news is I should be able to just feed a wire into right here to hold it for the spray adhesive. Or for, not, well, I guess kind of for the spray. Honestly, the spray adhesive's probably going to be easier to do one side at the time. But for the clear coat, I can just put a wire through this and spray. I realize I'm doing this and you can barely see what I'm doing. Anyway, let's get that did. Time to yeet the face cam. Probably yeet the microphone. And then you get to speed watch me tape the hell out of this. And then I will come back when it's finished. Actually, I might not. I'll probably won't bother coming back after it's finished. It will just speed run through me taping this up. And then it will have images of the finished products. Maybe I will do shorts of maybe I will make little videos of it on my phone. I don't heckin' know. We will cross that bridge when we get to it. And probably promptly burn it afterwards. We're back. I'm sure that was very entertaining. I will probably have an image of the gun that I am basing it off of on the screen as I'm doing this, so that you know vaguely what I'm doing. But yeah, that is everything that needs to stay golden. And by that I mean most of it's going to end up zebra print later. If we're being honest. I am going to have to paint the little doolity-doo gold, the little click-backy thingy gold. I might leave the top of it black just because the top is where it's going to wear off the most. But for now, this is what we're doing. Alright, I'm doing that thing where everything that I have currently that is more important needs to dry, which means I cannot work on the things that are more important. Which means that we are back to this here gun. As you can see, the pink actually stayed pretty well. Now the reason that I used the powder and the spray adhesive is because that's far more likely to actually stay and last on plastic than most paint is. Ironically, it's the same reason that I'm going to be using puffy paint on this for the most part. To do the next part, which is the zebra stripes. Obviously I have a picture that I'm using for reference, but zebra stripes go here, here, and I'm also going to, like, actually this entire little section here is zebra stripes. And I'm also going to paint this, this, and this gold while I'm at it. And it looks like the gold actually continues up a little bit, so I'm probably just going to use this curve that's already here as the cutoff for the zebra stripes and the gold. That makes sense to me. I might end up painting over most of the rest that needs to be gold with the gold that I have, just because there's so little of it, I guess, that stays gold. Because I also need to re-gold the tip, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. I'll figure that out when I get to it. I am trying to keep the mechanisms in working shape, but, you know, who knows. I'm going to only show you me doing one half of this, because the other half is literally the same, and also because it's going to need to dry while I'm doing that. So yeah, and this is going to get golded as well, because this needs to be gold. At least it is on his. I don't know if I'm going to do all of it in gold or if I'm just going to do this little finger thing in gold, because the problem is if I do this part in gold, it's going to wear away really, really, really quickly, and that seems redundant to me. The top is going to stay gold up to like here and up here, and this back is going to stay gold. But I need to... Oh good, you're still dripping water from when I rinsed off the extra powder. I didn't use that much water on you. I don't know how you got so much inside. Anyway. So that is where we are. I am going to probably at least try to paint this gold. Because a bunch of the spray got on it because I wasn't able to properly wrap it. But I'm not 100% sure how well that will work. The goal is that after this is done being painted, I will then go over, clear coat it with a couple layers of spray paint, and then clear coat it with a couple layers of Mod Podge to get rid of this bumpy texture that's the pink that the pink left. Obviously I wasn't able to get the entirety of the barrel, as you can see on this side, because, well, one, I didn't care as much about getting the entirety of the barrel, because the barrel, it's not the barrel, it's the bullet chamber. My brain is half dead. I figure the bullet chamber and this pullback and the actual thing itself, trigger itself, are the places in which it's more likely to wear, and thus that's where the colors are most likely to be faded off and go back to the regular gold anyways. But yeah, it's going to be, and I did get gems because so there is a scene in which he is taking and literally in the background you can see him gluing gems onto the gun. So I did buy some gems. So it's going to be zebra paint, gold paint, wait for that to dry, do the other side, spray coat, like 2 or 3 layers of spray coat, then the Mod Podge to go over the bumpy bits to smooth them, hopefully. And then Jemmies. I don't know if I'm going to film me putting on the gems or not. We'll get to that when we get to it. At the very minimum, we will jump cut to this having all of the... at the end of the speed up, you will see this finished with both sides of it in zebra. Alright. I think I covered all of the things. I'm going away now.
Are we supposed to stop it?
Put something inside them. That's how I get the bitches to behave.
Hello, everyone. First means first, this is the first time using this microphone, so this is a test. I'm doing it mostly because, on the off chance that this does end poorly, It is not fully required because we're not going to be using the microphone for most of this anyways. As you all know, I do cosplay, and I've been wanting to show the process of making some of those things. So most of this is going to end up being fast forwarded because it is riveting content. I am going to be lining this thing down here in gold rivets. So that's really all there is to say. The rest of this is going to be fast forwarded. My first time making a potion. Well, My first time making a potion with any large amount of effort in, I guess. More accurate focus camera. Was kind of going for the color changey thing. There are hearts and also mouths. And then we shake, 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 shake. Problem is, you don't really move a whole lot unless I shake it real big. Yeah, there we go. Now you can see all the hearts and the mouths. Yeah. Hello, hi, how are you? We're gonna get this out of the way immediately. This is not the camera angle that I wanted. The problem is that this camera is supposed to be like GoPro-esque, quote unquote. The problem is that it doesn't work particularly well if it is not corded and kept in a computer. We learned that while I was trying to make the Astarian painting. So, the problem is cord lengths, because it decided to not function at all with the longer cord for some reason. Which is annoying because the longer cord is also the more expensive name brand cord. So, anyway, if things are off in this video, I'm blaming the camera mostly. Why am I using this microphone instead of one of the other microphones that we have? Well, because this microphone is the easiest one to set up, and I'm not going to have it for the majority of the video, so it doesn't seem to make sense to fight to get a bigger, more annoying one set up. That's really all there is to it. And today we are going to be trying to make Val's wings. This is going to be fun because I've never done it before. So, I'm going to get all of the talky bits out of the way, and then we can do the thing where we do the fast forwarding thing. That's why I said we're not going to bother having the thing for most of the time. Yeah. So, I have a very large red silk blanket. You can see it over there. And I have sticks and PVC pipe. And I'm going to try to make a cloak that can transform into wingies. Because that's what his cloak does. And I've seen a lot of Val costumes, but I have not seen any of them which actually take into account the fact that his cloak become wings. So, Tori, you may be wondering, how are you going to get the pattern symmetrical on both wings if you are insisting on making them wings? That is a good question I have not figured out the answer to yet. The problem is that given the limited amount of space in which I have, because apartments and furniture, and not wanting to move furniture to do an art project, I have to do them one wing at a time anyways. So part of me is thinking mayhaps I can just trace them. The problem is if I do that, then the design is going to be on the back side of the wings and not on the front side of the wings. So my thought process is I will get to the making things symmetrical stage when I get to it. For now, the important bit is I have to get the wings size and shape figured out today, and I need to do that today because today is when I have access to the tools with which to cut the PVC pipe and the sticks. Yeah. So I need to make sure that that I have the correct length for both the sticks and the PVC pipe, because the idea is that the PVC pipe is going to sit on my shoulders. I'm going to hide it with copious amounts of white fluff. And I'm going to be able to then lift up the cloak, slide the poles that are in the cloak into the PVC pipe, the poles which will be cleverly hidden within a sleeve on the top of the cloak. I will then be able to slide them into the PVC pipe, and I will have wingies, and they will be glorious. I'm thinking kind of along the lines of those wings that are on poles that people walk around with sometimes, except without having to hold them. And also with the ability to have them fold flat on my back, which I guess the other ones already have, ish. So I'm kind of thinking along, because I've seen like those kites that are on sticks almost, where it is like you're holding the tip of the wing with the stick, except in this case the stick is built in to the thing with the sleeve. I might have to use some wire on the tips, because I'm not sure how long everything is going to end up being. That's what today is for. So, that is all of the explanation that I have right now. Obviously, as I go through, I will come up with more. I'm probably going to leave the microphone plugged in just in case I need to say something. And I will simply turn it off and put it off to the side. Because otherwise, the other reason I chose this one is because it's a little windy out, which means it's a little bit loud. This one doesn't pick up ambient sound that well. Kind of picks up whatever is directly in front of it, so yeah. Anyway, I'm going to set that up. I do also obviously have fur that is going to go around the edges of the wingies. That is for a different day. Because I want the fur to be like the last thing that goes on. Well, actually, I think probably the last thing that goes on is going to be the stripes on the back. But regardless, let's do the thing. Also, I am going to just use Sharpie to do outlines of stuff, because it doesn't seem to make much sense to try to use chalk when it's going to be covered in paint anyway. Yeah. Anywho, let's get started. Alright. I think I'm pretty happy with the shape. The length looks like it should be good because I marked how tall I am, and then made it longer than that, or at least made the bottom part longer than that. I do have to remember that this has to be a cloak too, so it's not going to be completely accurate to his actual wings, because obviously it needs to be usable as an actual costume, and this is not an animated world that we live in, unfortunately for me. So what comes next is I ran off, grabbed a bunch of different paints. I am going to make them slightly different. Well, obviously they're already going to be different than the actual thing, but I'm going to make them, I guess, more different. I'm going to make the designs a little bit more flamboyant, I guess, is kind of the word I'm looking for. Partly because I need to make sure that it covers up all of the lines, and partly because I just think it'll look better. Obviously, I'm still going to stick within the color scheme that we have been given. The first thing that I'm going to do, though, is fill them with aluminum foil. And by that I mean I'm going to take sheets of aluminum foil and just kind of work them into everywhere that I'm going to paint. So I'm not going to bother doing the bottom part of the wings because that's where fur's going to go. I'm only going to go to like here-ish. And just make sure that everywhere that is receiving paint gets a fair share of aluminum foil to keep it from seeping into the other side. But Tori, you may be wondering, why not just open up the wings and unpin them? Because it's going to be significantly easier for me to move without having done that. And quite frankly, doing the other wing sounds like a future me problem. And also sounds like something that I'm probably not going to bother filming, as it's going to be essentially the same as what I'm doing with this wing. So it seems a little bit redundant to do. I have a couple different options for fur along the edges, because as many of you know, Val has fur going all the way along all edges of his wings except the top. I have fur fabric, but I think that might be a little bit too heavy. Option number 2 is I have white felting material, like for needle felting, and that will also shape better, But I'm a little bit concerned about that on the bottom portion of the wing, given that it also tends to get clumpy and dirty very easily. So I might have to use fur specifically on the bottom part of the wing that I know is going to be hitting the ground. And then use the felting material like all the way to like here-ish. That seems about right. And then use like fur for the rest of it. Just to make sure that it doesn't actually clump. Because fur is a lot easier to wash than felting material. So the reason that I used a bed sheet instead of buying fabric is one, bed sheets were cheaper. I don't feel like I have to explain more than that for that part. But secondly, the bed sheet already has the part sewn along the top for me to just slide the pole into. So that's less sewing I have to do, which is hella convenient for me. Because I don't have to sew, because that means I don't have to sew at all for this project. Because the edges are going to be fleeced and glued all to heck, and thus they aren't going to unfurl. Also, I bought silk very specifically because it doesn't tend to come apart easily. So yeah. For now, I'm going to pause. I'm going to go do some other things that I need to get done. And when you see me next, I will be painting this lovely set of wings. Well, first I will be filling it with aluminum foil. And then the larger portions I'm going to probably tape off. Actually, I might not bother taping stuff off because I kind of like the idea of, since I'm going with a slightly more realistic version, it being more gradient, because what I have is I have some red spray paint that's going to be for like the big areas, like the giant hearts and stuff. And then I have multiple different colors of regular fabric paint. And I also have some gold glitter glue that I'm just going to kind of outline some stuff in, because I think that'll look neat. And there are many types of moths with very slightly metallic wings, so I think it makes sense. So that's going to be fun. Obviously, this is the inside of the wangs. I have to actually be able to vaguely put the wings on, or have somebody else put the wings on in order for me to do the stripes that are on the back. Which means I have to have the entire front done. And I kind of have to have at least the front, at least the bottom portion of fur on, I think. So that way I know how the wings will lay. So I'm also just not sure how I'm going to do the stripes in the back. I might just spray paint those on, since I have the fabric spray paint, and that will be easier. Just have my boyfriend wear the wings, and then also like a bag behind it so that I can just spray. That sounds like a future me problem, and I have too many current me problems to worry about that. So anyway, that is that. I'm hoping to have at least this particular side of the wings done today. The fun part is going to be then unfurling them to mirror the same design on the other wing. I'm probably going to have to just use the same method that I did for figuring out where to put all of the rivets in the vest vaguely, and just use paper that I trace out the designs on. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And I'm an overthinker, so I'm already at that bridge, and I need to walk away from it and focus on the bridge that I currently need to cross. Yeah. Anywho, lunch, probably coffee, let's be honest. wings, filling with foil, painting. That's also part of the reason I have the window open, because I kind of can't take these outside to spray paint because it windy as frick and the grass is dry and the grass is wet as frick because it hasn't stopped raining for the last several days. Ohio. It's swell. Yeah. So, lunch, coffee, foil, paint, and then I might go ahead and get the cane painted so that way at least the cane is completely finished while this is drying, but we'll have to figure out that when, again, we get to it. It's going to highly depend upon how long this takes, because I also have some other shish I need to get done today. Anywho, I will see you in a little bit. I cannot stress this enough. Do not spray paint in your house unless you have several windows open, as I have right next to me, and you are fully aware of what you are doing. Because it will get everywhere if you are not careful. I just have very few choices because, like I said, the grass refuses to dry. So, spray paint is on. I'm going to need probably a couple coats. I have no idea how this is going to dry, as this is my first time using this particular kind of fabric paint. It's supposed to be good for vinyl, leather, general fabric. It's mostly for cars. I've chosen to ignore that fact. We are going to see. Important note, you do want to yoink painting tape off before paint is dry. Otherwise it will crack underneath. That was, oops, accidentally, sorry. I will fix that later. The fabric paint will crack underneath if you try to yoink it after it has dried. So, I'm going to probably do a couple more coats while it's still slightly wet. See how opaque I can get it. I do kind of just want them slightly darker. I know technically they're supposed to be lighter. I'm working on that. I have other fabric to do that with, or other fabric paint I'm technically to do that with. I'm mostly right now trying to just do outlines, because I thought it would be fun to have a darker outline, and then it gets lighter. That's also why I didn't tape off huge chunks of it. I only taped off parts that I wanted strong lines on. Also, if you're wondering why just this random bit over here is taped off when I have a straight line going, it's because those are my fancy pins. I don't want them covered in paint. Generally, you're going to want... Yeah. I do have plastic down, obviously. If you're gonna spray paint in the house, you should probably put some more plastic down than I did. I'm just limited on room. Other than that, the good news is that fabric spray paint doesn't create as much dust as regular spray paint because it's more dense, which means that it's a lot easier to use in the house if you don't have any other choices. Don't do this if you have other choices. Please do not do as I do. Anyway, just wanted to pause a minute. I'll give that update. For those of you wondering why you only saw me fill that half with the thing, it's because I did this half first. Because I knew this half was going to be the more difficult half, because I have to fill it through the tiny hole over there instead of through the big hole that's at the top. So I did the annoying part first, and then I did the slightly less but still annoying part. The problem with using aluminum foil is that it likes to try to cling to literally all fabric all of the time, which is a problem. So yeah. Anyway, back to work. I need to stop accidentally peeking the mic. I often forget that this mic is more sensitive than I think it should be. Probably because I mostly use it for cosplay purposes. For my Fun Time Freddy costume. Anywho, I'm going to get back to the painting thing. Just wanted to give y'all a little update as to what's going on. Me. might have made this nearly impossible to replicate on the other side. But I'm very happy with it, so I'm going to try my darndest. Obviously, as I said, it's not going to match the thing perfectly because I can't make things animated. And also because fabric paint in general just doesn't work that way. It doesn't like to stand out very well on it. It takes lots and lots and lots of layers, and I do not have that much patience or that much money or that much fabric paint. So instead, I just kind of outlined all the things. And it does look a little bit messy because of the marker outlines. But honestly, I kind of feel like that just adds to the realism a little bit. Because, like, moth wings have veins and junk. So, now we have the letting everything dry situation. And who knows how long that's going to take. So we will insert pictures of it dry and probably the other side already finished. Here. Yes, hello. Editing Tori here. So I did not film putting all of the fur on because putting all the fur on was a ridiculous mad dash. Not only that, but I had to have the wings completely open in order to get all of it done. Meaning that I didn't have a place to actually even put the camera because I have to have the camera clamped onto a desk in order for it to be tall enough to actually view what I'm doing. Which means that I didn't film I tried very hard to do the wings outside, and the universe said, absolutely not are you doing the wings outside. We're going to rain the entirety of the time after you manage to get to the point where you are doing the fur on the wings. Thus, the ground is going to be either completely wet or it's going to be way too windy for you to do anything outside, so you cannot put the fur on outside. So I'm just going to run through the process real quick. It's not that difficult. It's literally just layer of spray adhesive, strip of fur. I was using felting fur, so that way it would give me a more raggedy appearance on one side, combined with strips of fabric fur, because they make fabric fur ribbons, and they happened to go on sale on Amazon. So I'm just like, alright, cool. And I grabbed those. So it's a combination of actual fur fabric and white felting fur. I don't know what the hell it's called. Wool. White felting wool. White felt strings. I don't know. The other reason why I wanted to use the felt is so that way I could get more, I guess, control over size, over length. That's the word I'm looking for. Because that way I can make it as long or as short as I want it in various locations, and I'm not kind of stuck with one length. The idea being that I did the outside most portion of the wings, like the part that would be wrapped around me as the cloak, in the fur fabric, specifically because that's the part that's on show. That's the part that has to be more neat, and I imagine he keeps that part more neat because of it. But the part that's inside the wings is a little bit more raggedy. It looks a little bit more, I guess, natural. As natural as fur on moth wings can be, which is not. For the little bump area on the shoulders, that is not all fur. I literally used a piece of white crafting foam in order to bulk it up. I glued that onto the back, and then I glued a layer of white fur fabric, and then I added a bunch of leftover ostrich feathers from my Laughing Jack costume, as well as a bunch of clear beads, because I thought that made sense for him, and some weird planty looking things. I am also going to acknowledge that I did not bother filming the making of the arms, The reason for that is because I literally used Ms. Twisted's Angel Dust making tutorial to make those, so I didn't really feel the need to film me making them because I literally was using somebody else's tutorial. And I also did not film me finishing the rest of the modifications of the jacket because it was literally just me gluing on a bunch of fur and feathers. Well, not feathers. They're like the fake flower white pokey things that you put into things they look like feathers, but they're not feathers. I don't know what the hell they are. But the little white pokey things and also beads. I didn't think you needed to watch me glue fabric onto more fabric. So yeah. Also, the hands are just mannequin hands. They're well, not mannequin hands. They're the hands that you use for practicing manicures. I just took them and threw them into the gloves. I bought black gloves specifically, so I did this very specifically so that in case the hand decided it was going to break away from the foam, it wouldn't completely detach because the gloves that are on the hand are elbow length gloves, meaning I can sew the glove into the foam, and that way even if the hand decides it's no longer going to stay on the foam, it's still attached, which was incredibly needed as on the way to the convention the hand decided to detach from the foam. So that was me preparing for the inevitable, which ended up being a good choice. Alright, toodaloo.